So this is a video that I have been wanting to make for quite some time, but I've been putting off making it because it's such a contentious subject. But nevertheless, I'm going to plow in and I'm just going to say my piece. Reversals. Reversals in tarot are the bane of my life. I don't like them. I don't use them. I don't think they're in any way necessary. Now, this is a tricky one, isn't it? Because I know that most tarot readers out there do use reversals. It's seen as being quite a normal part of tarot reading, and I have students come to me all the time that said, yes, Janis, but what about reversals? Now, I don't shut anybody down from using them. What I encourage students to do is to get confident in their reading and then experiment with them and try them out, as did I when I was starting my reading practice. We experimented with reversals in my group, and we came collectively to the decision that actually they added nothing. Now, I'm going to elaborate on this. I read tarot from the perspective that tarot is a story. It has stories running all the way through it, and it's beautiful. In a way, that's what separates it out from angel and oracle cards. There is a narrative line that runs through tarot, several narrative lines that run through tarot, and it is beautiful. Tarot is a beautiful system. It's perfect. Every single card has a purpose, and that's important. Now, we always talk about card meanings, don't we? But I would rather it be termed purpose. Every card has a purpose within the story. So whether we're looking at the story of cups or wands or swords or pentacles, or the story through the major arcana, it doesn't matter. It's all story based, and it's the flow that runs through the story that makes sense of the card within the context of the other cards. When we bring reversals into that equation, the card loses its purpose in the story. It doesn't make sense of it. If you have a story plot and you take a point in the plot and then you turn it round, it ceases to make sense in the story. Every card has a purpose, like a plot point in the story. So therefore, if we mess with it, we kind of lose our way. You know, if you have angel and oracle cards, I don't personally use them, so I will hold my hands up. We don't use reversals in angel and oracle cards. We assume that they are as they are for a reason. And I think the same about tarot, but for a different reason, because of the story. Tarot is a perfect system in and of itself. When we look at the stories that run through tarot, and we look at the cards as they run through the stories, we can distill the card message down to a very specific, almost one-line message. That might change slightly depending on the context of the reading, but what we want to do is to make it very succinct, to make sure that that card is delivering its purpose within the reading. And so it's important that we don't overcomplicate it. It's important that we know what the message of the card is very, very clearly. The trouble is, in my experience, what happens with reversals is the cards lose their nuance. When we have a card within a context, we can sort of see it like a laser beam. When we flip it, all of a sudden, it loses its sharpness. That, I think, is a loss in the reading. In tarot, every single thing is covered. There is no need to introduce 78 more cards. We've already got 78. All of life experience is covered in those 78 cards. Every message is there. If we look at the reversals, we can see that they then become other cards. or that they are covered by other cards, but the reversal doesn't have the nuance of the other cards. So if we took the reversal of the Hanged Man, for instance, the Hanged Man reversed, would we be seeing that as being just stuck? Or would we see it as being don't do nothing, don't wait, don't have patience, take action? It becomes more nebulous in its interpretation. And in my experience of seeing others who put readings up, especially on social media, the meanings just become a bit bland, or they just go back to the card meaning and they have a reversal, but they're just reading it in upright form. A very, very well-known, I won't say the name, it probably wasn't her personally, it was probably her team, sent out an email saying today's card of the week is the High Priestess reversed. So make sure you listen to your intuition. Make sure you listen to that small voice and you don't ignore it. That's not reversed. That's what the High Priestess means. Somebody else on an internet reading came up with the Seven of Swords reversed and said, well, somebody's being duplicitous here. Somebody's obviously being dishonest. That's what the card means. That's not reversed. And I did question her on this, and she responded very robustly and told me that she was indeed reading a reversal, which I don't understand because it just wasn't anyway. I think it leads to a level of confusion which just isn't necessary. Tarot does it all for us. It gives us everything we need. The problem when we get into this kind of ball of wool is we end up reading in quite a head-based manner. For me, what makes tarot work is when we feel the card. We have an emotional connection to the card. Feeling cards in tarot is incredibly important. That's why just learning by rote meanings doesn't lead you anywhere. We have to have a balance, but if we're too much in our heads, too much trying to figure out what the card is trying to say, we lose our intuitive connection because we're not feeling. We can't intuit if we're busy trying to figure out what the hell is this? It's feeling that leads us to a deeper level of reading, a deeper level of understanding what the reading is saying to the client. For me, that's the entire power of tarot. It's our intuitive connection because we feel it. Distilling it down to one thought, it's what Swords leads us to do. One thought. We only need one thought. And for tarot, it leads us down a path to enable us to see the one thought. If we're all over the place in our heads and we're going Eight of Swords and we're overthinking, we can't feel. Now, if you're a reader out there and you're going, yes, Janis, I feel reversals, well, hallelujah to you. I personally don't, and I would be interested in that conversation because I think the overcomplicating of it is the problem. It's really important when we read tarot that we let tarot lead the way, and the tarot system itself is setting us up for success. It's setting us up to be able to get the information in a way that's already preordained, in a way it's already written for us. And I think what we're trying to do is we're just trying to add too much into the mix. The more simple we can make our connection with the cards, the clearer the readings become. And when we overcomplicate it, the readings just become murky and a bit of a mess. Now, if you read reversals, I'm not telling you that your readings are a mess. Don't flame me here. But nevertheless, I think it's worth conversation. It's worth talking about. Do reversals really add value? Or do they just add a layer of complexity which actually adds nothing to the message that upright cards couldn't communicate perfectly well? The story is what's most important in tarot. The flow, the cycle, the way we move through the cards, the way the cards lead us into a narrative that makes sense in the reading. So that's my take. I'd be interested to know your thoughts. I think all of these things are important to talk about and to have conversations about. That's my take. I'd be interested to hear your take as well. If you disagree, that's absolutely fine, but I wanted to have my say. If you've enjoyed the channel, do like and subscribe as always. And also, I've created a little booklet around the idea of intuition. I've actually created a little guide. One of the things that my students talk about a lot is, how do you learn to trust your intuition? How do you learn to get a handle on whether it's a real thought or whether it's fear? And again, we've got the whole overthinking thing. So I've actually created a little ebook which I thought might be quite useful in that, and so you can grab that if you would like to. It's completely free. Just grab it with my compliments and let me know what you think. So the link's down below, the link's on here. All you have to do is just grab it and download it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed this discussion on reversals, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.